Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all you gentlemen, ladies, and non-binary hosts. I think I said that right. I did. Who cares? Welcome to the Excuse Me Brother podcast. I am the host for now, the one, the only, Brother Tay. Don't you do it, boy. Don't you do it.
Talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the dog.
I was going to say, I'm like, I didn't do anything.
No, it's got nothing to do with you. As a fair warning, I have been drinking whiskey, so it's gonna be great.
It might be an interesting episode.
Nah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm home. We're home. We're home recording. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be good. How you been, Tay? How's
fine.
Life treating you?
It's been great. You didn't introduce yourself, but you.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a few weeks, but I'm producer Jay. But any new listeners, they don't know who I am. So
yeah, it's not even about like you didn't. It's not like just to be mean. I was like, it's like you should just introduce yourself just to make
You're
sure.
right. You're right. You got it.
Yeah, but no, it's been very good since the last time we talked. You know, I'm a new driver now. Got my license.
Hey.
I finally decided to take the test, but had my permit for about a decade now.
It's liberating.
It's liberating. I'm gonna start trying to save up. My family's talking about maybe getting a car, so maybe I might get a car soon.
I was gonna ask you, like, what are your plans on that?
My plans right now is because I live in New York City is to not care about it. Honestly,
well, that's very true. You're very well. I was gonna say you're very fortunate that you live in New York City, but
absolutely,
it's. But when you think about it, it's like with all the issues with the MTA. It's even just today, like I got home around almost 7:00 because the MTA just decided not to run express trains going uptown. I don't know.
I got home at 7:30.
Oh wow. Well, you have a longer commute, so that's a little bit worse.
That's fine. I'm fortunate enough that I'm fortunate that I live in the city where like I don't have to worry about driving everywhere and stuff like that.
Right. But still, there's sometimes you wanna just.
I want you to know. So, as a fun fact, because we're recording this from our homes.
Mm-hmm.
I have the football game that's on because we're recording this on a Thursday. We're gonna timestamp this. It is the Chiefs versus the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
On my TV, this man just made the most beautiful one-handed catch that I have to say it.
You just had to call it out.
I'm so serious. He had a dude on his like he caught it with his left hand because the guy was on his right body. That's how amazing this catch was.
Oh damn!
That's gonna be a highlight for the next 2 weeks. But I'm just saying that literally threw me off. That might have made me sober. That's wild.
Better take a few sips to make up for it.
Probably. I do have to work tomorrow, but we'll do good.
Oh well, yeah, maybe not.
It's that type of thing. It's like sometimes sports entertainment will just get you like that. Speaking of sports entertainment, right?
Ah, there you go. Tonight's topic is professional wrestling. So Tay, tell me, what is your extent? Or to what extent is your knowledge of professional wrestling?
My extent, as I'm not as big a fan as you, Mr. Producer Jay, and as Brother Jay. But because I stopped watching, I watched it until like I hit like 13, maybe.
Right.
And then I stopped for a while, and then recently I've gotten myself back into it.
Like how much back into it?
I now know most of the wrestlers and a lot of the news that goes on. Then, like, I know a lot more than I did before when I was younger. When I was getting into it, Because before when I was younger, like when you're younger, you believe everything is real. When they tell you like wrestling is like the first thing you hear is like, oh no, wrestling's fake, and then you're like, no, wrestling's scripted. The pain is real.
You have no idea how many arguments as a kid I got into over that.
I was like, I think when I started watching, I think when I hit 12, I realized that wrestling is just pretty much men's soap operas.
Yeah,
with violence.
Exactly. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's a meme that people call it redneck anime. And I was like, that's pretty funny, but no, male soap opera is pretty much
It's
nail on the head.
yeah, it's men soap opera because like sometimes you'll watch it, you'll be like, okay, clearly it's gonna because everyone knows like it's written, the storylines are written out,
Yeah.
but like the violence is real, and then like and you always sometimes you get a good twist every now and then. You're like, what?
It's
That
one of
was
those it's one of those things where you have to, like with any show, suspend your disbelief. Because obviously, there's not a freaking zombie undead guy named the Undertaker wrestling a freaking, I don't know, a freaking a redneck who drinks beer. Like that's not realistic. But a lot of the shows you watch are not realistic. You just know it's a show. You subvert your expectations, and you set yourself or your mind in that world, so it makes it believable for that time span.
Yeah, you have to suspend your belief for reality to fully enjoy it. Because like if you start to put like reality, if you start thinking too realistic about it, then it's not fun.
Yeah, then that's an issue now with the current product, is that they try to make it sometimes too realistic to the point where it's like, okay, I mean, I get what you're trying to do, but it's not working because I know it's not real.
Yeah, sometimes like if you get people that like are fully dedicated to the craft, like of acting it out, it does great stuff.
Yeah,
like this is like as a child I fully believed it, but now as an adult, when I see it now, like I know what it is, and then some of these guys are like really entertaining. Like some of these guys I watch are like, damn, this is really entertaining.
and that's what it boils down to. It's entertainment. Like that's why you watch it. You don't watch it because you actually want to see people fight. I mean, maybe you do, but there's other stuff for that. There's boxing, there's MMA, like there's other formats that you can get into. But that's what I meant, that they're trying to make it more like those other things, when no, it's wrestling is its own thing. You can't, I mean, you could try, but it's deep rooted in the fact that it's fake. So you know not to expect certain things or to expect certain things, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, so like it's like to enjoy it. Like I'm not gonna complain. Like you gotta enjoy shows for what they are. It's the same thing. Like for those, as a good example, the show. I'm trying to think of it. There's a show on Hulu. What We Do in the Dark, I think, is the full title. I'm not too sure that's the correct title, but that's the title, and it's just pretty much like it's vampires that's living in New York City.
Right.
Clearly, we all and like they are they're their dumb selves. It's like a thing on Hulu and FX.
Right.
Like you clearly know the show isn't real, but like they have like a fake camera and everything. It's like it's supposed to look like a. It's supposed to look like a. Oh, what's the word? Starts with a D. Oh wow. Oh wow, I really forgot what it's called.
Demonstration? No.
No, I was thinking it's like diploma, but like the film, like when you're like it's like a recording of things.
Oh, documentary.
Documentary. Thank you. I'm not gonna the word. I'm not gonna lie to you. I knew how to spell it and everything, but to pronounce it was just gone from my brain.
It happens.
So that's the whiskey. I was gonna say document and then add tree to it. I was like, but that's not correct.
It's a documentary.
Yeah. I was like, but that'd be terribly incorrect. But like, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's filmed like a documentary, like The Office. It's filmed like The Office, like a documentary.
Right. Yeah.
But you know this thing is not real.
Right.
It's fake.
That's just the format.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta enjoy it.
So when you were watching, like in the beginning when you were younger, what was the thing that you remember most? Like what was going on around the time that you were watching?
All right, when I was watching at the time I remember fully.
Right.
So when I remember fully, when I was really like every week, every like Monday, Tuesday, or Friday, it was the start. Like, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were just leaving, so like
Oh.
I had John Cena. The start. This is the start of John Cena. Like the
Oh
start of
wow. Okay.
the start of the Doctor Dogonomics thing when he was
Yeah.
rapping every day.
Right.
This was before like Evolution, Randy Orton, Triple H, Batista.
That
Like,
no, that was around the time. It was a little bit before, but
yeah, like, I got the introduction of them because I wasn't
like
really
right at the start.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of Raw. I was more of a SmackDown person. So I was
Same.
like, I had like holla 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 Teddy Long, my favorite thing. So it was like JBL. Like I remember him becoming JBL. Like I got his first runs with that. John Cena starting. Booker T. The Undertaker was on there a lot too. Then
Yeah,
sometimes
Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was one of my favorite people. I love his theme song.
Yeah, no. See, it's funny you say that SmackDown was your show. SmackDown was a lot of people's shows, mostly because, when it was the time slot, I think it was on Thursday at first. The time slot, it was from 8 to 10, and because it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that specifically for me, I was able to watch that fully. Whereas with Raw, it started
11, and I couldn't really.
Yeah, it started at 9, so I was like, I can only watch 1 hour. So
yeah, 10 was when my parents were on me too. They're like, you should be in bed.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was. But not only that, but if I remember correctly, SmackDown was available on more cable, and like it was available to more TVs or to more homes than Raw was at the time.
Yeah, because at the time Raw was like Spike TV.
Yeah.
And then going like to TBS and when TBS stuff TNT. So it was like Spike and TNT. But SmackDown was Fox, just the 5 channel.
Was it on Fox? No, it was UPN.
Oh, it was one of those. Like
it was one of the basic cable channel. Yeah.
So like I can never really forget it, but like I was privileged enough to have like cable like that.
Yeah.
So like, I was able to have Spike TV and TNT. So like I was able to watch Raw from time to time. But like I couldn't really remember it like that. Like I remember SmackDown fully, like with the giant punch coming through and everything.
Yeah, the fist.
That. Like I don't remember Raw until like I forgot. I think when I started getting into video games of SmackDown versus Raw, and I think it was at 2008 maybe when they changed their song to Papa Roach, "I Want to Be Loved."
Oh man.
But that's when that's when like I'm speaking of young, but that's when like young Randy Orton, Batista, and all the other stuff.
Yeah. It was funny because I wasn't able to watch Raw because for whatever reason I had the bootleg cable, the black box. You know about that?
Yes.
The black box with the red letters on front.
I had that. What are you talking about? Really?
So for whatever reason, to this day I never knew why, but for whatever reason I could watch SmackDown perfectly, but with Raw it would like cut in and out. It would be staticky. It would be like pixelated. I don't know what was going on, but for whatever reason, I could not watch Raw. So I would literally get like physically upset when they did the draft and people would go from SmackDown to Raw that I liked. And I was like, why? I literally cannot watch you now. And I would get upset about it. But, so around the time when then when did you stop watching? Like when did you like kind of teeter off?
I don't remember. I can't tell you when exactly. I think it was kind of like I don't remember when I really took a break fully, but I think it was at a certain time when like all of the people I was growing up watching were kind of leaving that were older enough.
Yeah.
So like Undertaker stopped showing up too much. John Cena was still coming by every other week, but I was like, I'm tired of seeing John Cena.
Yeah.
I think the last thing. So I think I stopped. The last period I remember is stable wise. Was when Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase came into it. So like the American Dream and the $1 Million Man, when they had their team together.
Right.
And like I think the last one I watched before I started getting back into it was like they were a legacy and they had just broken off from Randy Orton.
Okay.
Realizing that he was using him for like the years all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's
That's around the time I stopped watching as well. So I want to say so. All right. So when like I was watching regular, mostly SmackDown, and then I moved over to Raw because that's when John Cena got drafted to Raw.
mm-hmm.
So he came there, and at the time I was a huge John Cena fan. So and then around that time my parents upgraded to like actual cable, so I was able to watch Raw without any hiccups. So then I kind of just like migrated to Raw, and I didn't really pay attention to SmackDown. But yeah, no, around the same time that you said is when I kind of dropped off because it was just getting to the point where I just didn't care. It was the same things, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it kind of felt like repetitive. I was like, no, I'm kind of just done with this.
Yeah, and then it's like the same thing, like with John Cena constantly winning all the time, and it was it's like, okay, I want to see somebody new, but I like John Cena, but you know, I need a break. And
I missed that whole thing.
Yeah, but that went on for almost a decade. It's like it went on for a very long time, and I was in and out.
I would see glimpses of stuff because people would be like, "Oh, did you see that?" Because I had friends that would watch it, so I would get glimpses. They'd be like, "Oh, I remember the last most memorable thing I seen." Jesus Christ, what's wrong with my words today? The last memorable thing I saw was like the invasion of the NXT of the Nexus from the first NXT. So that was like the first thing, and then like the last thing I remember was like them bringing back at the time it's Daniel Bryan. They brought him back to be part of Team Cena.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? That's actually when I started watching again.
Yeah, so they brought that. I remember seeing that. Like those are some of the memorable moments, and then like I missed all the other things like CM Punk's like pipe bomb. CM Punk's whole thing I missed completely.
Oh man,
I missed the Yes movement and Team Hell No. I really wasn't paying attention then.
Yeah,
I just knew of it. at the time.
Yeah, no, I want to say so. I got back into it around that time with the Nexus because I remember hearing about it and I was like, "Yo, what the hell just happened?" So then like actually that's when I actually got into podcasts. Ironically enough.
Sure.
I was just looking for any information online because like I wasn't watching, so I heard about what happened. So I started looking up and I just saw like a link to a wrestling podcast and I just started listening, and then, you know, the rest is history. But from then, I want to say until maybe like 2017. Maybe that's being a little bit generous. Maybe like 2016. I feel like because that was like in 2013, so like that 3-year period I want to say was like peak wrestling for me.
Okay.
Because like that was when The Rock came back and CM Punk had his whole pipe bomb thing. Like you said, Daniel Bryan had his rise. We got new teams like the Wyatt family and the Shield had debuted. Like all of this stuff like was just happening in such a short amount of time that it felt like a real like boom period. And I was listening to podcasts, so I was getting more invested in like the backstage aspect of it because I never really cared about that stuff before. And then once I heard people talking about it, then it became more interesting to me. And a lot of the backstage stuff is crazy. Like if you deep dive into it, I mean, you've seen the group chat where we go and like talk about stuff that's going on backstage. Who's getting fired? Who's jumping to another show? Blah blah. It's really cool and it's fun.
Y'all be going at it like for a long. Y'all be going at it sometimes. I'll be like, okay.
No, because it's really interesting. So I mean, so just to tangent off, speaking of like backstage stuff, you know about the whole recent thing with CM Punk, right?
I am fully aware of it.
You're aware of it. Do you know like to what extent?
I looked up the skirmish. I looked up what led to it. His little press conference,
right?
That everyone's now like saying was like planned. Apparently now like the thing was like planned, like not the full thing, but him CM Punk planned to go on that giant rant.
Right.
Where he talked shit about everybody.
Yeah, because I actually watched it back, and he was talking about the whole thing with Colt Cabana, where he was going into his own thing, but apparently he was never even asked about Colt Cabana. He just used it as an excuse to talk about it. And literally, I'm just like, yo, that's crazy.
He literally saw he saw a person that's like who he saw a reporter that he knew that also like had reported with Colt Cabana and like had interviews with him.
Right.
So once he picked out that person and he went on that rant.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So and then like if you're gonna go on a rant and call people dumbasses and stupid,
not only
especially who
you work for them, like it's your higher ups, your bosses.
Yeah, like they're not like just regular. Like they're part of the wrestling thing. Like they wrestle with you, but they are vice presidents.
Yeah,
they're executives. Like you can't just call people. You can't call executive dumbasses and not expect something to come back to it in public.
Right.
Like you could do it privately. That's like privately. Everyone calls their like supervisors dumbasses from time to time.
Yeah,
it's just the way people are. Like sometimes your supervisor just does things, and you're just like, I fucking hate. I hate the supervisor. He's a dumbass. But like that's you talking to your friend. If you're gonna go on like national TV and do it, you have to expect consequences.
Yeah, and what gets me is the fact that like I used to love CM Punk. Like he was one of my favorites when he became popular. Like I feel like he could do nothing wrong. And then with the whole thing what happened where he left and it was like a whole controversy and like he walked out and like everybody had his back. Well, most people had his back.
Most people had his back, but there was a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories of like, nah, he's a jerk and this and this and that.
Yeah. So
and I was like,
I heard those stories too, but it's like I didn't want to believe it because I felt bad for him. I felt like he was given a bad hand, and he was that podcast that he actually did where he like said everything that happened. I was really like eye opening, and I was just like, "Yo, that's some fucked up shit that he had to go through." And I had some sympathy for him because anybody who would go through that, even in a regular place, not just like professional wrestling, but anyone going through that, like that's fucked up.
There are some things that look. The wrestling world is always weird.
It is.
They got a lot of weird rules and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness.
And honestly, Vince McMahon was the weirdest of them all.
Well, yeah, that's a whole freaking can of worms. That whole thing, that whole story about his secret sexcapades, where he paid hush money to the a myriad of women to not say anything. It was insane. It felt like it wasn't real. It felt like it was a drama, like a soap opera.
Yeah, every time I hear about it, I was like, how bad can this really get? I was like, he's already gone.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought it would go away. I thought once the first one came out, where it was alleged, it wasn't like fully confirmed. It was kind of like a rumor. I thought it would just go away. He would be quiet about it, and it would just be water under the bridge.
Like you figure for most like presidents and stuff. Like I feel like for all presidents and like CEO and stuff, you feel like they're all cheating for some strange reason. You're like, this person paid hush money for an affair, and you're just like, he seems like the type of guy.
Exactly. Like that's just one of those things. Like maybe it's part of like the job description. You have to have a scandal in order to be higher up.
I don't want to say it's part of the job description, but like as you see it, you're just like, yeah.
You see it so many times though. Like at some point you got to be like, yo, it's just all of them. Like they just do that shit.
Yeah, honestly, some of them you just look at them and you're like, yeah, he's definitely cheating.
Yeah, and it was weird too because all that was going down, but he was still married to his wife. And then in a recent interview with you know who Pat McAfee is?
Yeah.
So he has. What happened?
I'll do a quick description of the Pat McAfee. For a sports fan, is the former Pro Bowl like all-star kicker for the Indianapolis Colts. For media standpoints, he is now a host of his own show and also a commentator announcer for SmackDown.
Yeah.
He's also now working for ESPN for college football season.
Yeah, he's stepping away from SmackDown temporarily to do this, and then he's gonna come back once he. It was crazy too. He said he would have done both, like literally, because SmackDown is on Friday, and then what was it? Game day is on Saturday. So literally, right after SmackDown, he would have flew out to do the next show. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, and he was willing to do it because like he would. So it's pretty much he does SmackDown. He flies out to. So he does his show. He has a regular show that he does, like a regular TV radio show.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on what channel, but I know like they release it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He does it from Monday through Friday, and then Friday it ends his show. The show stops airing around 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so he catches a flight that Friday afternoon and goes straight to wherever
SmackDown
they are hosting SmackDown because he's a commentator for SmackDown.
Yeah.
So he'll go straight from there to there. And then what his thing was like, once that show went off the air and he did everything he needed to do, he would catch another flight to the nearest airport to whatever college campus that college game day was at. So like, they travel everywhere.
Yeah.
So if he had to go, I think this weekend, the weekend that just passed, they were in Texas.
Yeah.
So whatever, I think SmackDown, I don't know where SmackDown was. I'm somewhere upstate, somewhere up north. I don't know. Something tells me they're like close to New York. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of something. Wherever they are now, he would have to take a flight and then fly down to Texas to go to Texas University campus.
Yeah, that's insane. But that's dedication, though. That's how you could tell that he's serious about what he wants to do there. Because a lot of guys that they get in for a cup of coffee and they don't care about it, they don't do research, they don't, they just, it's just a paycheck to them. And that was going on for a while over the past few years where they were trying to find commentators and they would get these outside people to come in, but like they would screw up the names, they wouldn't say the moves right, they would just be like, it felt awkward. Whereas with Pat McAfee, like he knows his shit.
He cares. He took time. As an NFL player, he was forced to watch film. You could tell that he's looked at stuff. He's like, well, it's supposed to like this is this, so I know this.
Right. But he has like the gift of gab, which also helps him out immensely, because he can just like spot things and call it out and riff on it in an instant, and it's not like he has to think about it. And that's probably why he got the job that he did.
No, he's like I said, he's always been.
Yeah,
he's always been like this.
That's what I heard.
If you ever like, other than like his show that he does on TV or his like his radio show, his radio TV show, it's so weird to say that because it's pretty much a radio show just filmed for TV.
Yeah,
But he's even before that. Like if you go back and listen to his teammates, they'll always make jokes like he's always been like that. In the locker room and stuff. That's why.
I mean, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, though.
He has a lot of good. He's never had any. He has enemies in the NFL, but like some people are just like that. Like no matter, like as honestly, you can't go. There's nowhere you could go where you won't. Like if you always have a good time, someone's always going to be mad at you for something.
Right. That's true.
Like you can be like as a personal thing. Like you can just be yourself, and someone's going to be like, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, that's just how things go.
Or as now in the world, as the public will be, you're like, if you don't got haters, you ain't really popping. That's
also true. But anyway, so Vince McMahon was on his podcast like a few months ago, and during that podcast, he alluded to him and his wife being separated, and that I feel like kind of started turning the gears in people that like, something must have happened that led to them splitting, because he said something like, when he was talking about the past, he said, my wife at the time, and we were just like, at the time I thought you were still married, but like nobody really talked about it because they thought it was maybe he's old, he probably just misspoke or whatever. But yeah, once that got out, people started to think that something else was gonna come out, and lo and behold,
and they were right.
Yeah, and that day, it was such like a freaking whirlwind when he actually retired.
I was in New
What?
Jersey at that time. Honestly,
Really?
I was heading to New Jersey to hang out with friends.
No.
Hang out with it, and I remember I was on the train or the bus. Not sure which one I was on, but I was heading there because I wasn't driving at the time.
Yeah.
So I was heading there, and then there were just a lot of videos on YouTube. It showed. I want you to know how it was on YouTube. It was on Bleachers Report,
Yeah.
like for sports stuff. It showed on Bleachers Report that Vince McMahon retired and no longer heads WWE. I was like, what?
No, it was funny because when I was at work at the time, and they did it on Friday after the stock market closed, because they knew they knew that as soon as he made that announcement, that stock was gonna drop. So they did it after it closed to prevent damage, because that was gonna be a nightmare. But yeah, so I was at work, and I remember I was already like finishing up. I was scrolling Twitter, and I saw the tweet from Vince McMahon. I'm like, oh, he got hacked. Somebody hacked him, or it was a fake Twitter account. You know, you've come across those, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where you see a big news story, and you got to look at the Twitter handle to make sure that it's not like misspelled slightly to make you think that, because that's happened to me a few times.
Gotta look for that check, baby.
Yeah, so like I looked at it and I saw the check. I was like, okay, let me click on it. Let me see what the comments are saying, because you kind of get like confirmation. And even the news, like the wrestling news reporter, there's a guy named Sean Ross Sapp. He's very like reputable within like the wrestling news community. So he commented, and he's like, I had to do like a triple take to make sure that this wasn't fake. And I was like, yo, this is real. And at that moment, I called my brother, because like he's also like into wrestling, and I called him. We had like a 10-minute conversation, like, yo, what the fuck is what's going on? And I posted in like the group chat. It was crazy that day. I'll never forget that day.
I remember like it just like as I'm doing it came up on Bleacher Report. I was like, what? No way. And then you wrote on the thing. I was like, oh, this is really happening. And then like 5 minutes later, it was like taking over. It will be like Stephanie McMahon, and then Triple H will be leading the creative and like the whole wrestling side of it. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's about to get real.
Yeah, no, shoot, it was about to, and it did. Like, things are changing like very rapidly, given how much has changed over the years. And honestly, it's a breath of fresh air, because I can't remember before then the last time I sat down and watched a show fully. I always kept in touch about like what's going on, like with results and on Twitter and podcasts or whatever. Yeah, but same. I never actually sat down and watched a show in so long, outside of like the night of after WrestleMania or WrestleMania and pay-per-views.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think last week was the first time in maybe a decade or so, maybe more than a decade, actually, maybe a decade and more years, that I literally sat down. I think I watched the whole episode of SmackDown. I was like, look at this go.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to watch 3 hours. 3 hours is a lot to watch.
Yeah, honestly. I can't. Yeah. It's a good show. It's a better show than it was after Triple H took over.
It's still 3 hours.
It's still fucking 3 hours. Like, that's
like I can't watch let's be honest. I can't watch basketball for 3 hours. Like, let's not make it like it's just that.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask, which I don't know how realistic it is. I hope they can bring it down to 2 hours somehow, but I'm pretty sure that's a USA call. USA Network call.
I can't watch something for 3 hours. I can't watch basketball. I can't watch YouTube for 3 hours without like doing something else.
I can't do anything for 3 hours without getting bored. Playing video games, watching TV shows, anything. Like if I hit that 3 hour mark, I'll be like, yo, I can't. I need to do something else.
I hit 3 hours on any. I'm not 16 anymore. I can't play. Like, I can play, when I was 16, I could play video games for 12 to 10 hours.
Yes.
I'm 28. I can't do this shit anymore.
And the sad part is we're not even that old, but still.
Well, it's not even about being that old. My brain just registers. You're like, yo, bro, you've been here for 3 hours. Like, you've been here for an hour and 30 minutes. You're not going to do anything else? I'm like, right, I should be doing something else.
Yeah, that's how it is for me. Like, that's why I can't really do I can't binge, pretty much. because I always feel like I should be doing something better with my time, but then I don't. So it's like, why did I even think that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I binged one time this year, and and to tell you the truth, I was watching an anime that a friend suggested for me.
What anime was that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that all live.
Oh, was it that kind of anime?
No,
it starts with an H.
No, not that. It was not that. I just don't want you on my ass.
That's alright.
I watch whatever I want. I don't need y'all judging me today.
Ain't no judgment. At least not for me. I don't know about anybody else, but
it was not. It's not one of those that starts with an H. It was it's more. It was like a slice of life comedy. A friend. I'm not gonna say her name, but she recommended it to me because I was like looking for something to watch. She's like, "Why don't you watch this? It's on Hulu." And it was like 12. It was like maybe 15 episodes.
Yeah.
And I watched like 8 straight, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so sidebar. Speaking of anime, have you seen the new Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime?
No.
So you know the game Cyberpunk, right?
Yes, I do.
So they released a spin-off on Netflix, but it's an anime that takes place in the world, but it also ties back into the game. Like, they just updated the game to feature the characters that are in the anime, and there's like a mission with them or whatever. I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm very excited to watch it because I do like anime, but people are saying like this is like perfect.
Oh, so maybe I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, understand. I think I don't know, what was the last. I'm now back. I'm starting up some old stuff again. Like, I took the time to catch up to One Piece to get to 1,000 episodes.
Good luck with that.
I already did. I already reached the 1,000 episode mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been on and off with it for a long time.
Oh, I was gonna say because like, so
go
ahead.
No, I've been staying up and on ever since like the time skip. I've been like on and off of it. Like, I won't watch it for like a few weeks, and then I'll binge all of it and want to go just to catch up again.
Yeah,
we're back to the time where I need to start binging all the episodes again. So I'm literally at an episode 1,000.
Oh boy, yeah. No, my fiance, she watched it through, but she can binge. She's like a master binger. Literally, like she'll watch it or have it on in the background, and she'll just glance upon it because she told me that a lot of the episodes are kind of like retellings of other episodes.
Yeah,
from like different perspectives.
One Piece is one of those shows. One Piece is one of those shows where it doesn't have a lot of filler. So like technically every episode's something new is happening. But then a part of you is like, do we really need to go into that many detail about this one fucking thing?
Yeah, that's pretty much, they just get so into the details that it's just like, okay, enough. I get there's a fight going on. I don't need to know how many punches this guy threw.
It's so much madness because like, and a part you're just like, oh, okay, like this is happening in the story and this led to this. But like One Piece is one of the shows where like, okay, this led to this because of this, and then because of that. See, now this is why you got here because of this, and you're just like, I didn't really. And then you realize you're like, I appreciate them explaining everything what happened in here, but you're like, I really don't need to know all of that though.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this person interrupted the fight.
Overwhelming.
They're like, this person interrupted the fight, but here's why they interrupted the fight and how they got to interrupt the fight and the fight they had to do before they got there. And the internal struggle they had before they even did this. And I'm like, I don't give a single fuck about. And then your brain like, I don't give a single fuck about this dude's internal struggle. Honestly, like he did it. How about that? Let's move on.
Anyway, getting back into wrestling. So have you watched AEW at all?
Not fully, but I've watched some. I've seen some things. I know a lot of AEW, aka All Elite Wrestling.
All Elite Wrestling. So I've tried to give it a shot every few times, like when there's a big moment or a big match or whatever. But I don't know, for some reason it's just not clicking with me. Like, I get why people like it, and I am kind of jealous that they could get to enjoy it as much as they do. I went to their first New York show when they came here, and that was a great show, but it was way too long. Like, cause what they do is, and I've been to I've been to live shows for WWE as well. So
Oh, same. They record both their shows in one go, don't they?
yeah, AEW records Dynamite, AEW Dark, and Rampage like all in one go.
Jesus.
They used to not. Yeah, they used to not. They used to do Rampage and Dynamite separate, but I mean, I get it. It's because of like cost. It's more cost effective just to tape everything all in one go. But damn, it's fucking exhausting. Like
Honestly,
what?
Honestly, they should just do what WWE do and just make it two separate shows with separate rosters and
See,
stuff. They
people, I think that's a good idea. Like, if you expand Rampage to 2 hours, split the roster because they got a shit ton of people as it is.
Yeah, a shit ton of people. They got a fuck ton of fucking belts and titles. They could do this.
Yeah, no, they definitely could. It's just for whatever reason, people don't like the idea of a brand split, which I do. The only reason I didn't like it was when they undermined it. So, like when WWE did it at first, it was in. So at first they did it in the beginning. They kept it like serious, but then eventually they stopped. I want to say the best implementation was in 2016 when SmackDown went live. And it was on Tuesday. So it was Raw on Monday and then SmackDown on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And I feel like both of those shows, mostly SmackDown, were like firing on all cylinders because it felt like those were actually separated shows competing with each other.
I honestly think that's when I started to get back into it. When they called SmackDown the land of opportunity.
Yes.
Where anything can happen. When it was like AJ Styles.
Yeah,
AJ Styles had just entered the WWE, and he was like leading the charge.
Yeah,
John now, but Dean Ambrose at the time.
Yeah. So yeah, if they were to take that concept and bring it into like Dynamite and Rampage and split those rosters and have them be like kind of their pseudo competition, I feel like it would be a lot easier for people to digest, especially for me, because a lot of times things fall through the cracks, and it's just like one guy who's there on Dynamite 1 week will be gone for like 3 weeks and then just randomly show up again and trying to continue the story. And it's just like, it becomes too much to handle. And I get some people can do it, but for me, I need that, not instant gratification, but I need that constant, like, drip feed of storyline in order for me to be invested, because otherwise you're gonna lose me.
I think that was one of the main issues when it came to people backstage at AEW. It's like, so those are the one places. AEW has a lot of issues backstage, other than the other stuff we're gonna get to. But like a lot of their people employed were very upset that they were promised this amount of screen time, but weren't getting any. Like, they would get like one match 1 week, and then like they'd be off of air for all shows for 3 weeks.
Right.
And they're just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like maybe I should have just stayed on where I was. It wouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, and that's the issue, because I can't really fault them for this, because if I was in the same position, I probably would have been tempted to do it as well. When WWE was releasing so many guys, they took them in. Like, it was like, how are you not going to sign these guys? How are you going to not sign guys like Jon Moxley or Daniel Bryan and Aleister Black, Keith Lee? Like, all these guys are dropping from WWE, getting fired. You have to pick them up. Like, they're too good of a talent to leave as a free agent.
And that's honestly where I feel. That's like I said. I really felt like they should have just picked up. They should have just made it 2 separate shows.
Yeah,
and just had like the thing. Honestly, the idea of having 2 separate shows just go against each other is just a good idea in general.
It is, but like I said, a lot of people don't like it. But I feel like if they tried it, then people would get used to the idea. It's just they don't want to try it for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but
so actually, bro, I want to actually talk about the thing because we're almost at the hour point. We
Right.
never really got to talk about the issue CM Punk is having right now with
Right. So, so just to make a long story short, because it goes a lot into CM Punk's past with Colt Cabana. That's a lot in itself, because they had a whole lawsuit against WWE for like gross negligence and all that stuff. So they have issues, and they're both in AEW. But apparently, CM Punk's main issue was that he felt disrespected by a specific person in Adam Hangman Page, who is like a younger guy. He was at the start of AEW, so he's kind of like one of the pillars of that company, along with the EVPs, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So he's like friends with them. They call themselves the Elite.
Yes, which is how they got the name All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
So those guys, they started a company, but they had come up with their own team name called the Elite.
Yeah.
And which consists of a lot of people that are not in it anymore, but still people.
Yeah. So CM Punk, him being like the veteran in the locker room, he, does what other veterans do. They try to give advice to the younger guys or whatever. And Adam Page, very openly, I think he said it on TV. I'm not entirely sure.
So, so apparently Adam Hangman Page and CM Punk were like going at each other for the main title of.
Yeah, they had a feud. Yeah.
And apparently in one of the segments, one aired on TV, apparently Adam brought up his relationship with Colt, Mr. Cabana.
Okay, right.
And apparently that rubbed CM Punk the wrong way, and he was very upset about it.
Not only that, but there was also the fact that Adam Page, he's very open about the fact that he doesn't like taking advice from quote unquote veterans.
Yeah, because he wants to learn his own way, which is fine.
That's
how people are.
It's understandable.
But apparently, so whatever he said on TV, so this got aired in a segment. So ever since then, their relationship has been all over the place. But there's also been a few other things that's led to that. But I want to say this was, I don't remember what time. This is definitely like in the start of the year. But CM Punk has held on to it for that long of a time until, I want to say August, where CM Punk had beaten him for the title, and now he lost the title due to an injury, and he was coming back to get it.
Yeah.
And when one of the times he was coming back to get it, he had ranted and he had called Adam Page out to come get a title match, knowing that he really couldn't do anything about it because he wasn't planning to show up at all.
Right.
And then that was anything. So he did that. That led to more problems, which then led to the ETPs, executive vice presidents, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, to try to step in and stuff. And then again, apparently CM Punk did not like that either.
Yeah.
Which then apparently they had their biggest show. It was like WrestleMania for WWE.
All Out.
They had All Out, which is their WrestleMania.
Yeah.
When they had like a little press conference where people just asked them questions, see how they're doing, where CM Punk went on a rant and called Adam Page a dumb fuck. Yeah. And he said we want to use people who, for lack of a term, want to be called EVPs, executive vice presidents, when they couldn't manage dumb stuff. I don't remember the.
He said he said it like, I don't remember exactly what it was, like a fast food chain or something like that.
Yeah, like they couldn't manage
Wendy's or McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah, like they're not fit to be in the position they are. That was pretty much what he said. They're just not fit to be in that position. So after he went on a giant rant about that, I want you to know he did this rant with the owner. The owner of the promotion right next to him.
That was the most awkward part of it. That the owner, the CEO, is sitting right there and just letting it happen.
And not like I'm pretty sure in his mind he's like, I'm not sure if this is. So like, there's times where like sometimes this wrestling and reality can get blended. So I'm sure his why he's like, is he doing this like to start something that I'm not aware of? Because like as an owner and CEO, you don't really know what the writers have and what they told people.
Right.
You're just kind of trying to go along with it to see what happens. And he was just sitting there with the most awkward face. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
You know, I have a theory. I don't know if I posted it in the chat. I have a theory that before the press conference, I think because CM Punk is known for shooting and going off script or whatever. I think Tony Khan, he asked CM Punk that, hey, I want you to throw another pipe bomb. Like, don't tell me what you're gonna say. Just lay it on me. But he wasn't prepared for what CM Punk was about to unleash, and that's what led to this whole situation.
No one really. I don't think anyone was. So after he laid out this rant on everything, he laid out a full rant. So after that, he went back to the locker room. The executive vice presidents that he spoke of wanted to talk to him because the vice presidents are wrestlers themselves, and some people just know. You have an issue with me, like come talk to me and we'll figure this out together. As men. Right. So they went to his locker room trying to talk to him. Apparently he didn't let them in. This reported, but apparently they forced themselves into it. And apparently the exchange got so heated that CM Punk decided he wanted to punch one of the people when he punched one of the Young Bucks. Right. One of the ETPs. I think it was Nick. I think he punched Nick, and then that just led out to an all brawl. Yeah. And I think his friend, I can't remember his name, but his friend and his manager, was his trainer. His trainer name is Ace. He bit one of the other. He bit Kenny Omega. He bit one of the other vice presidents, Kenny Omega. He bit Kenny Omega and threw a chair at the other vice president. I don't know how serious a fight's gonna get. I've never been part of a fight. I've been part of a lot of fights. Personally, I've seen a bar fight or two. I've seen a bar fight one or two. I've never seen a chair get thrown. I mean that you gotta be really angry at the person to throw a freaking chair at him. Not only did he throw a chair, he grabbed Kenny, the vice president, by the hair and bit him. Yeah, that's very excessive. I don't understand the fight that was happening. I've never seen that part of a fight. Yeah, I don't you only resort to that. That's not even a fight. That's freaking a scrap. That's just street fighting or whatever. You don't do that unless you're really losing. Seriously losing. Yeah. But yeah, that whole thing it's still unraveling as we speak because we don't know what's gonna happen. All the vice presidents have been suspended. CM Punk is injured again, but technically he's not been suspended yet. But there's talk that he might be leaving, on his own accord. He might be. Yeah, he's leaving, or he might be fired. Something that he's just not going to return. But that hasn't been confirmed yet. Yeah, everyone has been suspended, including the producers. Who were involved, producers that were trying to stop it. They were suspended for a while. Well, I heard yesterday they are all back. Oh, and they're doing a report, which a lot of people who were there are going to be interviewed to see witnesses to see what really happened. They want to make sure everything's together. Right. It's insane. The best. I mean, it is very interesting, and I remember when it happened. That was all I saw on Twitter. I want to know the funniest thing for those who were used to watch wrestling. Chris Jericho, very old, is part of All Elite Wrestling. So when the fight was happening, the owner and CEO, he was out there, wasn't he? He was talking. He was with Tony Khan in the media session having a press conference. So Chris Jericho finishes his whole interview with everybody. And then as he's leaving, he hugs Tony Khan and whispers in his ear, "Hey, people are fighting. People are fighting backstage." and Tony looks at him like, "What? For real?" And he's like, "Oh, he didn't know what to do."
That's like when Bush got the news that the World Trade Center was hit. He was
That
like, "What?"
and sometimes you just don't know. And that and Katrina, they're
Oh
like, "Where's
yeah.
Bush?" It's like, has anyone seen President Bush since Hurricane Katrina? And everyone's like, "No." I was like, "Oh, fuck." Like he's somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Well, as we come to a close, I thought that we could play a little game called
Okay.
well, I don't have a name for it, but I have a list of, cuz like I said before that I got into like the backstage aspect of stuff, and I started like knowing the terms and the lingo and stuff like that. So I have a list of wrestling terms,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to get your what you think they mean.
Let's go.
All right. So I'm
You
only
know
going
I'm
to do a few
bad.
because I literally have like a lot of words, but we don't have that much time.
You know I'm
Um
bad at trivia. Let's get it popping.
all right. So first term is, what is a mark?
Why do I have a feel? I want you to know, in my mind, I was like, he's gonna say, "What's a mark?"
I mean, that's the most common one.
I honestly don't know what that means. I've heard it. I heard it a few times. So I'm guessing a mark is just kind of like a person who doesn't know anything in the wrestling
Um
world. He's just like, is just an unknown person, just like a wannabe, I guess.
Kind of.
I
So
would.
a mark is basically somebody who is very into the aspect of wrestling itself, and is kind of like oblivious to everything else that's going around. Like, for example, like we were just talking about the whole CM Punk thing. A mark for CM Punk, for example, would take his side and just completely disregard everything and anything that happened leading up to it, after, whatever. That would be considered a mark. So somebody
Okay.
who's into something regarding wrestling too much to the point where they just don't even, it's like tunnel vision.
So the people that so pretty much fanatics.
Pretty much, yeah, very overly fanatics.
Yeah,
It
fanatics.
can be used as a derogatory thing for
I
some.
could, no, I could tell because like to me, it's like you have tunnel vision. So it's like some people with like certain sports fans, like NBA, certain sports teams, like NBA, football, basketball, or some people in political parties where like they're like so wrapped up that in their political beliefs that they don't see anything else.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and even wrestlers can be considered marks for themselves. Like notoriously, Bret Hart was considered a mark for himself because he
Uh-huh.
believed he could do no wrong. He was always in the right. But anyway, that honestly, we could
That's
do a whole freaking episode on Bret Hart. But
that's just being a narcissist at that point. There's all I can
yeah,
say
I
about
mean
it.
that's yeah.
You always
Okay,
gotta know you're doing something wrong. Okay.
so next term, to
Uh-huh.
get over.
To be popular.
Yes, correct. Um, what is a mid carder?
A mid carder is a person who's not like head. So like I'm gonna put this in boxing terms.
Mm-hmm.
So like boxing terms, you have like the headliners like Floyd Money Mayweather.
Right.
You should see Conor McGregor, Muhammad Ali for boxing again, Anderson Silva for MMA. Like those are the headliners. But what you have in the middle carders are the people that are under. They're
Yeah.
wrestling on the same night, but they're just not the main. They're not the reason why you go, but they keep you entertained. They're good. They're
Yep.
still good in their profession, but they're just not the main people you really want to watch. There's nothing
Yep.
wrong with them. They're just not as good as other people.
100% correct.
Yeah.
So what is a baby face?
The baby face in this term is supposed to be the good guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
Um,
they got a baby face, and you think they're cute, and you want to. They're supposed to be very favorable.
so sidebar,
Sidebar.
do you know what they used to call him before babyface?
Oh, I was just gonna say face. That's the only
Well,
one I
that's
know.
like a shorter term to say. That's usually what they say now.
I
But
don't know.
before babyface, they used to call him blue eyes. Because back in the day, you know how like the model person, blonde hair, blue eyes.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was back in like the 50s or whatever. So back when racism was I mean, it's still around,
It's still
but but it was much more out in the
obvious.
open. Yeah.
It was much more clear then.
So
Much more clear at the time.
yeah. What is a receipt?
A receipt is like payback.
Yes. Nah, good. Didn't think you'd know that one. What is a no sell?
I know what a sell is. Mostly because I was watching a YouTube video like before we started this, and they were talking about selling. So I know what a sell is. So I guess a no sell is when you don't act like you're hurt, or you act like the move didn't you kind of act like the move didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Like if someone drops you, like if you get body slammed, you get right back up and look at them like, is that all you got?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like that. Like you're supposed to make everyone believe that the move hurt, but you're like, you just stand right back. I'm like, nah.
Just no sell it. There was an infamous moment in it was I can't remember exactly which WrestleMania, but it was the Ultimate Warrior versus Triple H, but then he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And he hit him with the pedigree, and Ultimate Warrior literally just got up and looked at his face. Like, that was his finisher, and you just got up. It's like, I get he was Ultimate Warrior, but goddamn.
He had to make him angry at that point.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there was sometimes time where people were weird.
Yeah. Next term is get color.
Oh, that I don't know at all.
Really?
No.
Take a guess.
Get colored?
To get color. I
feel like that's like bleeding. Like you got like ooh.
Right. That's what it is. Wow.
Okay.
Took a shot in the dark there.
Yeah, contact clues is a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been too obvious with that, but it's alright.
It's not your fault. Like, get color. I'm like, well, most people are black and white. Like they refer to them as like their race. And the only colored thing I see in WWE in like wrestling is blood.
Yeah.
That's like that. That was just me knowing. There's nothing to do with you.
Alright, so what is a push?
Oh, that I know. A push is like so as I said before, WWE is scripted. A push is when you want to make someone like popular and get over. So you try to make them get like a streak of wins.
Yes.
To like lead to possibly lead to a title or something like that. Like you're getting pushed to a title.
Yeah. What is kayfabe?
Is that not just faking?
So yes, but it's more of a broader term. It means
I have an idea what it is. I just don't know the meaning. So I'm gonna default on this.
You're gonna default. All right. So kayfabe is essentially what you would refer to as canon. So like when you say the canon of a movie or an anime or TV show, whatever, when you say, oh, that's canon, that's not canon. Kayfabe is essentially that. So like when you keep kayfabe, you're keeping the canon of the character.
Okay, I got it now.
So that's basically what it is.
I'm not gonna lie to you right now. As I said earlier in the episode, I was watching football. I'm pretty sure I just watched this dude's ribs get broken.
Oh shit!
Not joking. He's the quarterback of the team playing of the Chargers. Yeah, he's not going up. He's just grabbing his sides. He's like, nah, he's not getting up no more.
That's no good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if his ribs are broken. He might have just got the wind knocked out of him, but he's hurting.
All right.
As someone who's gotten the wind knocked out of him before, that shit hurts.
Let's do 3 more.
Let's go.
All right. So what is a squash match?
A squash match is when one person destroys the other person in about a minute or in a minute.
Yeah.
Like the person gets squashed. Like the person's supposed to look completely strong in it.
Yeah.
Very popular term is when you use like, oh, this person is from the local town that the show's shooting from.
Yeah.
Like like we're here in Baltimore,
it's
and right here is the local talent, John from Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
usually reserved for people who they want to push.
uh,
All right. What is a pop?
a pop is a crowd reaction.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Last one. What is a booker?
The fuck? Like Booker T? That's a
No.
black man.
No.
He's a black man. I'm
A
sorry.
booker, not Booker T. A booker.
A booker? I'm guessing someone who writes and like confirms the matches. They tell people like what like the match is going to be and how it's going to end.
That's exactly right. See,
Okay.
you did a good job. Honestly, I have way more, but we'd be here forever.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
good job. You did very good.
I'm on fucking fire, bitches.
I thought.
Can't-
I mean, granted, you do have some knowledge of wrestling, but a lot of people really don't know these. Like they'll know some words, but most of these, if I asked anybody, they'd probably be like, "What the fuck?"
No, they probably wouldn't get it. But also, as someone who once I see a sport and I take any interest in it, I want to learn as many terms as possible about it. I am one of those people. Like I know some terms for diving, like for gymnastics. And, like if I take time and I look at it, I'm like, I want to know what this is. I'm gonna find out.
Well, that's that's interesting.
Man, I am a sports head to the death.
Yeah, I wish I could be, but that's another story for another day.
Honestly, it's not that fun.
I don't have the time to dedicate to sports because I feel like people get so into it and they just like they drop everything. They get so, especially like when it's the season or if they get into multiple sports. Oh my god!
Jay is it's September now, so when Jay hears this, he's fully dedicated to the baseball MLB time.
Is it the playoffs?
Yeah, it's for baseball.
Not playoffs.
It's called the hunt. We're in September, so it's called the hunt for October, which is pretty much just to get into the postseason.
But they have a name for it. I forgot what it's called.
Postseason.
No,
playoffs.
But isn't it
playoffs?
Is it playoffs? I feel like there's another name.
Playoff for baseball. Playoffs, like for any sport, once you get through the regular season, like everyone gets to play. They take like the top teams in every conference, like East and West, and they go to the playoffs, which is like everyone's playing to get eliminated to go to the championships. So like that's pretty much what it means. That's pretty much what it is.
I mean, I assume that's what it is for like every sport. I just felt like for whatever reason, baseball had its own terminology. But
so baseball calls it the postseason, and So when you're heading into the postseason, which is when they play in October and November to decide a champion, it's called the postseason, but it's also called the hunt for October for where we're in, like just to get into the regular season, just to get into the postseason and playoffs. But it's just pretty much the playoffs. Baseball calls it the postseason. Football and basketball call it the playoffs, especially basketball. Where like you play one team for a series. Sometimes it's 5. Sometimes it's like the best of 7, best of 5 games. First person to win 3, worst person to win 4 gets to move on to the next round.
Yeah,
tournament. It's a tournament.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There's sports is soccer, MLS, Major League of Soccer for America also does it too. They have their own playoffs. I think their playoffs is actually about to start very soon.
Oh, okay.
Because soccer for us happens in the spring, but once our soccer's over, overseas soccer stop.
Yeah, that's like big. People get into that shit.
That's intense.
Yeah,
that's some real. That's one sport. Like I can't really. Again, I can't really sit and watch something for 2 to 3 hours like that. Like 3 hours like that, but like I can hearing the people cheer and stuff like that. Some people just be at it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like if you have the atmosphere, it makes it easier. But just sitting there watching it like by yourself, it's
as a personal sports fan, if you're ever gonna go watch a baseball game, I'm going to tell you personally to go on weekdays from like Monday through Friday. Go to Yankee games if you're in New York City. always go to New York because Yankee fans in the weekdays is the best atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like it's nonstop cheering. You feel welcome if you're the other team. Even if you like cheering for the other team, you still feel like they won't really like. You feel like they won't do anything to you. They're just really welcoming to you, and you have a lot of fun. If you're going for the weekend, I would say go to a Mets game. Apparently, like Mets games are more fun on the weekend because people have free time in Queens. Weekday games, mad boring.
To spin it back into wrestling, just one last time.
Go to WWE matches.
Yes.
Not ones that are taped though. Go to the ones that are not taped. They're more fun not taped.
Yeah, go to the live events, which are like the ones where they don't do TV. Granted, TV is still better. Like I feel TV is better live than watching it, even if it is 3 hours. Just seeing the live wrestling is a lot better. But
yeah, but you get so much more fun stuff now.
Yeah, no, if you go to
if it's not recorded TV wise, you get like some more. You get funner matches and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot more engaging than the TV aspect of it.
The wrestlers and the performers are like a lot more. They feel a lot more relaxed and they're a lot more engaged with the fans.
Yeah, they're not trying to follow the script or whatever.
Even when a wrestler we didn't get to talk about today, Mr. Roman Reigns, there's some videos of him at live shows. Him at live shows are like some of the funniest things. He has a match on the live show, and like in the middle of the match, he has like a mean stare down with a baby who's giving him the evil face.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like he keeps going back to this baby every 5 minutes.
Yeah, no,
he's giving him the baby's giving him a mean mug, and he's like, "Yo, who?" And then he gives the baby the mean mug back in the middle of the match. He's like, It's just.
There's one where I think it was one of the Make-A-Wish kids. It was around the time when he was feuding with John Cena, so they were doing some matches on the live events, and I think every now and again he would do that. He went to the Make-A-Wish kid, and was like, "You really like this guy, John Cena?" Like, and the kid was like, "Yeah." It's really fun.
Sometimes it's more like live events are more fun.
Yeah,
like some game, even in sports. Like if you have some games that don't get like put on TV. As someone, I want for certain sports before we end the thing. There's certain sports like baseball have a minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a minor league game for baseball. I never had so much fun getting called out for some dumb stuff. They're like, "Oh, you want to go on the field and run the bases? Come on, let's do it right now in the middle of the game." Like, what?
Like, damn.
But yeah, it's
minor leagues.
Live sports. They had a brunch. I want this to be known. There's a team that does a brunch in the middle of their game. Like their game will be playing. Or like, if you bought tickets for the brunch, come up to the suites. We got your bottomless mimosas ready for you. I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea.
Sign me up. I'll go.
It was $30. Gotta do it next year.
There you go. Anyway, let's wrap this up because we can honestly go on for another hour, but it's getting late.
Jay has kids and I like sleep, so
yes.
I gotta put another whiskey bottle into the fridge to make it cold, so you know what I'm about to do.
All right, tell them where they can reach us.
I want to thank you all for listening. If you want to reach out to us, send us an email at excusemebrotherpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram at excuse_me_brother. That ends with an A, not an ER. So brother with an A, not an ER. Follow us on Instagram. You can write us in the DMs. I checked the DMs. I actually was having a conversation with someone in our DMs this afternoon today, actually.
Hey. Nice.
Well, nothing serious to bring up on the podcast, but like I said, we're very interactive with it. If you follow, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube at Excuse Me Brother Podcast on YouTube.com. Everything is very welcome. If you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Overcast, the other whatever I put this on, because I have a giant list of things I don't look at. I just throw it on it and just hope for the best. Honestly. If you're able to leave a comment, just tell us what you think. We're always willing to listen to reviews. This has been the Excuse Me Brother Podcast with your boy, Brother Tay, who sobered up from all the whiskey, who's probably going to drink more whiskey before he goes to bed. But that's enough. You don't need to tell nobody about that.
Producer Jay, and we'll see you next week.
Peace, love, violence,
Peace,
and one
love,
finger up the butt.
and Soul Train.
And Static Shock.